From Quito, Ecuador, my name is Carla Gonzalez, and this is From the South, the evening news brief on Telesur English. And we begin this new edition right now. Policemen are friends. The people are with you. That was the chant overnight in Tegucigalpa, as several units of the Honduran police demanded a recount of the presidential election results and said that they were going on strike. Opposition protesters applauded the police, including the elite Cobra Brigade, as they withdrew to their barracks. They say they will not return to work until there is transparent conclusion to the country's election crisis. They accused their police chiefs of playing politics and called on middle-level officials to replace them. And they also criticized the army for failing to act.
1. We demand respect for the will of the Honduran people expressed at the ballot box, with a recount of each and every vote in order to make this election transparent and to satisfy the people. 2. We demand the Honduran armed forces, our brothers, assume their constitutional role, give their decision to remain silent. 3. We want to make clear to the international community and the Human Rights Commission that our position is to remain in our barracks until this political conflict is resolved. 4. We express our idea that at the end of this process, whoever results is elected as the constitutional president of the Republic, we will continue doing our job, which is to ensure peace and security for the people. 5. We repeat that our action has no political motive. We will simply want peace and tranquility, and we will only achieve this if we respect the will of the people who are sovereign. God, country and service, the basic ranks of the Honduran National Police. We want peace for our country.
After 8 days of waiting, Honduras Supreme Electoral Court finally presented their official results for the presidential election, but they stopped short of declaring a winner. Meanwhile, the opposition still do not recognize the results. We have more details in the next report.
After finishing the special count of 1,000 records that had irregularities, the president of the Supreme Electoral Court, David Matamoros Batson, presented the final results of the process.
The data we have at the moment is that citizen Juan Orlando Hernandez Alvarado has, at this moment, 1,410,827 counted votes, for a total of 42.98%, while citizen Salvador Alejandro Nasralla has 1,358,000.
The candidate from the opposition alliance against dictatorship, Salvador Nasralla, said that they won't accept the result until all irregularities from the 26th of November elections are clarified, such as the fall-downs of data transmission system.
To be able to legitimize the government of current dictator Juan Orlando Hernandez, people need them to check the 5,174 records they physically received. They manipulated the system. So to me, what the Electoral Court presented has no importance.
For the observation mission from the European Union, the process hasn't finished. The latest numbers, they said there's still a lot of doubt and that they will wait for the disputes.
The first point we believe is important at the moment is that the process is not finished. They finished the special inspections, but the process is far from being over, because now comes a period in which candidates and parties can file their petitions.
On the other hand, the American States Organization observers concluded among a series of situations that there was a proven manipulation of votes in the provinces denounced before by the opposition alliance.
We saw massive transportation of voters in different polls of the country and also purchase of votes in 3 departments. At the end of the election day, there was no clarity about the closing time of the polls.
Leaders of the opposition alliance announced they will continue to put pressure until those 5,000 records registered during the fall-down of the system are verified.
Venezuelan Attorney General Tarek William Saab has held a press conference where he gave an update on the investigations into the corruption plot. He said that 4.2 million euros were laundered through a corruption scheme involving the Catalan banking system in Andorra.
I want to inform that based on all the evidence collected by the public ministry and the police force, The people who have been arrested were part of an international criminal organization, which included around 40 ex-members of PDVSA and also ex-representatives of the oil and energy ministry. This band have used approximately 40 ghost companies. A few of them were real, to administrate and launder funds coming from corruption cases.
We now go live to our correspondent Freddy Gillingham in Caracas. Hello, Freddy. Seems like the story of corruption case related to PDVSA have just begun. What else can you tell us about it?
So the saga continues with regards to the ongoing anti-corruption investigation aimed at tackling corruption within PDVSA, Venezuela's state-owned oil company. During a press conference today, the incumbent Attorney General, Tarek Saab, did announce that a new breakthrough had emerged which brought the investigation onto an international scale. Around 4,200 million euros has allegedly been laundered through a Catalan bank system in Andorra. As part of his announcement, Saab did say that Venezuela will be requesting that the Spanish government extradites a certain individual involved in that case. On top of that, two other PDVSA officials who are allegedly involved with this particular incident in Spain were detained this morning. That brings the total number of detainees up to around 100 in what has been a massive anti-corruption investigation that was ordered by Maduro many months ago. The new leader of the state-owned oil company, Manuel Quevedo, took the reins here several weeks ago. So this is really hotting up here in Venezuela with this new breakthrough.
Thank you very much, Frederick, for your report. In Venezuela also, they will introduce the Petro, a new cryptocurrency that will allow the Caribbean country to make international transactions without intermediaries and search for new ways of financing. We will see the details in the following report.
President Nicolas Maduro announced a new economic era for Venezuela.
Venezuela will create a cryptocurrency, the Petro currency.
But what actually is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is digital money. The difference between common currency and cryptocurrency is that these are not regulated by any government. Its value depends on the confidence of its users. There are over 100 cryptocurrencies in the world. The most famous is Bitcoin, which was created in 2009 and currently is worth over $11,000. Countries such as the United States, Japan, China and Russia are already using it. Venezuela wants to create its own cryptocurrency, the Petro, so they can make international transactions and find new ways of financing in the middle of a blockade and an economic war against the country. The cryptocurrency is based on information codes.
Los códigos están basados en un protocolo que se llama blockchain.
The codes are based on a protocol that is called blockchain. The blockchain is simply a protocol where a lot of information is issued, and that information is going through the entire network that makes the cryptocurrency. This process goes through several securities, therefore it can't be edited or unlocked in any way. So, anything you send through a computer is an internet code. Venezuela could not only do international trade and pay debts, but it could also generate great profits, because the cryptocurrency is something that is developing and growing each day.
The people that build the cryptocurrency codes are called miners. They work with the servers that decrypt the codes and translate the information.
Miners are mostly a group of people, or sometimes just one person, who have served with a high energy consumption. They are mostly independent people and are not directly related to any economic or financial power. Anyone can be a miner.
But how does the trading of cryptocurrency work?
One is through mining. Any of these projects pays you for mining. The mine is a server, and you will get paid if the information goes through your server and encrypts each code. The other way is to use exchange pages. You can go with your bolívares or with any other currency, and you can simply purchase.
Making transactions through cryptocurrency is simple. Once you have acquired them, you'll need to open up an account through any of the different websites available. The transfers are made via QR codes. They are fast and do not need any intermediaries. The banks cannot intervene. Cryptocurrency is the most important economic innovation of the 21st century.
In Brazil, former President Lula da Silva continues with his caravan called Lula for Brazil, which is meant to prove how President Temer is working against social progress in numerous Brazilian regions. André Vieira has more.
Greetings to you and our viewers. We keep moving along with former President Lula da Silva and his caravan through the states of Espírito Santo and Rio de Janeiro. To be with the people has been his main strategy to express his ideas and to defend against an alleged political, judicial and media persecution against him.
Difundir suas ideias e também para denunciar uma persecução mediática, judicial e política em sua contra.
Joaquim Pineiro from the MST National Direction. Joaquim, what can we say about this caravan? How important is it?
A caravana, que importância tem esta caravana?
Well, it's been very positive because people gave us a warm and lovely welcome to Espírito Santo. Most people love him and they know that he is the right choice to change this country. So we'll be moving with the caravan. Today we are going to an educational institution in need of change. And later we will be moving to Rio de Janeiro to continue with the activities. It is very important our pass by Espírito Santo.
Necessitando que haja câmbio também e depois seguiremos para Rio de Janeiro, onde seguiremos todo o processo de mais atividades pelo estado de Rio de Janeiro. Por lo tanto, êxito fundamental esta caravana de Lula aqui no estado do Espírito Santo. Joaquim,
a lot was done during Lula da Silva's and Rousseff's governments, but what is left to do? Lula even suggested a referendum to revoke Temer's actions. What else is needed in this social project?
This referendum is important for us because it will change all of the bad things that this subversive government has done to the people. The other important proposal by Lula is to democratize the media because in Brazil, as well as many other countries of our region, the higher class groups are the ones in control of them. These groups are always against the people, and that is serious. So we need to achieve that for democracy prevails in our country.
Tiene el poder son los medios de la burguesía que son contra el pueblo. Por lo tanto, se conseguimos, se logramos este hecho, será fundamental para avançar a democracia em nosso país.
Thank you very much, Joaquim. We will follow this caravan during its pass by the state of Espírito Santo, and at night Lula will arrive to Rio de Janeiro, where he will stay until Friday. We'll keep driving through the highway with more news for you about Lula's caravan moving through Brazil.
That was Andrés Vieira from Brazil. We'll be coming back with more news in a minute. Stay with us. The presidents of Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago say that combating pollution is the key to achieving environmental sustainability. The two leaders were speaking at the third edition of the United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi, Kenya. The president of Guyana, David Granger, said that governments and industries have an obligation to fight pollution in order to ensure communities are free from diseases and abject poverty. Two children have been killed in floods and mudslides in north and central Bolivia in the city of Cochabamba. Intense rains flooded protective embankments in Trinidad, flooding streets and plazas, destroying numerous homes. In Argentina, the grandmothers of Plaza de Mayo have a new granddaughter, and she has discovered the identity of her real parents, Edgardo Garnier and Violeta Graciela Ortolani, who are still missing. Her family had been searching for her, and after 40 years, she has been found. We have this report.
After 40 years of struggle, the grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo couldn't have had a better gift. It was the news that they had been waiting for. A new granddaughter had been found. She is the 126th.
We are lucky to announce this blessing. We have given her a number so she could fill the hearts of our organization. She is the granddaughter number 126.
Life has won over hate, said the freshly returned daughter of Violeta Ortolani and Edgardo Garnia, who both disappeared during the military dictatorship. The 40-year-old woman lived this moment in the company of the relatives and friends of her parents.
Life has won out over death. They couldn't defeat us. Despite the reality and the difficulties we are living now in our country, at least they couldn't erase this story. Love beat hate because we were searching for the truth.
This latest discovery is proof that the truth and the memories can overcome silence and neglect. The grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo ask once again for support in their search for the missing grandchildren from the time of the Argentinian dictatorship. Despite their long struggle, the grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo are celebrating life once again. There are already 126 retrieved grandchildren, but they also know that there's still much to do in the name of truth, memory, and justice.
The trial of Ecuador's Vice President Jorge Glass for criminal association in the Odebrecht case continues. Glass presented his testimony and maintains he is victim of a political persecution. He insisted that the prosecutor's office has not presented a single piece of evidence against him. The vice president says the Brazilian company traded his head for the freedom of its officials who have been found guilty of corruption. Glass awaits a final verdict which still has no date.
This trial is politicized and there are many things that must be determined, because apparently the corrupt corporation Odebrecht, accredited by the Attorney General, paid officials in companies, but none of them are connected to me.
Protesters have gathered outside the Mexican Senate as it debates a new security law, which they say will further militarize the fight against crime. Our correspondent Pablo Perez has been at the demonstration and sent this report.
So we're here standing outside of the Senate, the Mexican Senate, in downtown Mexico City, because today the security bill is going to be voted, a very disputed bill, and we can see there's a high number of protesters and different protests going on in the different entrances of the building. And that's because the organization, the human rights organizations, say that this law vulnerates human rights all over the country, giving the president extraordinary powers to take the army out of the street, and giving the army like the legal way of keep on all the things that human rights organizations are accusing it to do, like torture and extrajudiciary executions. So the bill is going to be voted today, and there's a lot of people protesting, and there's some resistance in part of the legislators too, because they say that the law, as it is written, can give the army permission to take intelligence work that could serve to spy on political opponents of the Mexican government. So this is the news so far, and we go back to you.
Pablo Perez from Mexico. In Caracas, the Museum of Modern Art is hosting the Biennial of the South for the second time, an art exhibition with the theme Peoples in Resistance. It has work on display from over 100 artists, spanning experimental documentary, paintings, photography, and live performance art. Our correspondent in Caracas, Freddy Gillingham, went along to find out more.
Peoples in Resistance is an exhibition where politics and artistic expression are interwoven. Whether it's dealing with gender violence in Namibia through photography or the digital revolution in Iraq through moving images, members of the public are able to explore works from all over the world. The exhibition will include conferences, workshops and special talks with artists from both home and abroad. A major contribution to the exhibition is of course Venezuela's homegrown talent. Exploring the theme of capitalism and its effects on marginalized communities, local artist Ricardo Garcia spoke to Telesur about the importance of his work.
Pueblos en resistencia. Peoples in resistance comes from things like this. To resist means to visualize the characters that are normally not visible, or when they are just important because they are a part of the news. The people that I have painted and brought here today are in this context of resistance, of visualization of cultures, of what happened to us, to the people of the South, so we must show these people. For me, a place like the Biennial of the South lets me say things that in other places I am not allowed to say. It is fair to bring them here with me and tell a little of their story, of what happened far from the big scenarios.
Work exploring food shortages in Venezuela sit alongside pieces highlighting racism and police brutality in the United States. The importance of freedom of expression was high on the agenda, and not just for the artists.
Well, I think these are good places to conduct confrontations on a political level.
Seeking to create a space for artists outside the mainstream markets, the exhibition is in its second consecutive year, running at Caracas's most respected artistic institute. It will be running until February next year. Freddie Gillingham, Telesur, Caracas.
We'll be back very soon. Stay with us. Objections from around the world continue to pour in response to United States President Donald Trump's intention to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Trump is expected to make an official statement on Wednesday, according to the White House. Turkey, Jordan, Iraq, Egypt, the Arab League, and Hamas have all released statements to condemn the move. Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah has said such a decision would have dangerous repercussions and would obstruct U.S. efforts to resume Arab-Israeli peace talks. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas warned Trump of the dangers of such a decision to the Middle East peace efforts, as well as security and stability in the region and in the world.
The President, Mahmoud Abbas, had a phone call with President Trump this afternoon. It was clear President Trump is still thinking about moving the embassy to Jerusalem. The position of President Abbas was very clear. Moving the embassy would be unacceptable and would be rejected completely by the Palestinian side. The President Abu Mazen made a series of very crucial phone calls with President Putin, with the Pope of the Vatican, with Jordanian King Abdullah, with the French President Macron, and his position was clear. East Jerusalem is the Palestinian capital according to international and Arab resolutions and law.
The United States has withdrawn from a United Nations pact to improve the handling of migrant and refugees, saying it is inconsistent with its policies. In September 2016, the 193 members of the UN General Assembly unanimously adopted a non-binding political declaration called the New York Declaration for Refugees and Migrants, pledging to uphold the rights of refugees. Under Trump and his America First policies, the United States has withdrawn from several global commitments made under the administration of President Barack Obama.
Con respecto a la decisión de Estados Unidos,
we're sorry about the decision of the United States because we believe it's a lost opportunity. It was an opportunity in which the capacity of influence in a global discussion was lost, of having leadership, in also defining the parameters in migration policies worldwide. But we will remain in this agreement. We will keep working, and of course we will keep working bilaterally with the United States on our migration issues, which are a very important part of our relationship, which we will sustain under the principles that we promote in this agreement, which are the respect for the human rights, the dignity of migrants, regardless of their migration status, and the recognition of the contribution of migrants for the society they're in.
De las contribuciones de los migrantes a la sociedad en la que están también.
The authorities in Spain have seized 6 tons of high-grade cocaine in one of the biggest drug busts ever made in Europe. Police and custom officials found the cocaine $249 million in a container supposedly transporting bananas, which arrived in the southern port of Algeciras from Medellin in Colombia. 3 people have been arrested in the case, including a Spaniard who is believed to be the ringleader. In Kenya, a wave of illegal occupation of farms along with cattle theft as a consequence of the dry season has also brought an extended fight between security officers and shepherds. Our special correspondent Oscar Epelde has more details in this next report.
We're in one of the private ranches in Laikipia, which according to its owner George is 49,000 acres, like other farms in the area. Mugi combines the meat cattle raising with the conservation of wildlife and tourism. The current owner, the third landowner of the ranch, is a white man who lives on the other side of the sea. In the dry season, tens of thousands of cattle from Samburu pastures invaded the farm. These ranches had electric fences, but the shepherds, coming from drought-hit lands and working to fulfill the needs of their cattle, trespassed on the ranch which provoked other invasions by the armed forces. This clash caused a bloodbath.
Gangs of 50 to 100 people running around, all armed with assault weapons. Basically, it looked like an attempt to make the whole farm and conservancy unviable to manage.
Wild animals are also suffering the consequences. According to the guide, Mugi lost over 90,000 of his roughly 2,000 buffaloes because of stress and diseases that the cows brought.
With civilization and after a lot of these ranches being converted into conservancy, we are now receiving a lot of wildlife back into our conservancies, and making Laikipia one of the very few regions in the world where wildlife population is increasing.
And business opportunities of ranches are also growing, not only because of tourism. The management has started a new program of cooperation with communities. They're proposing that the community members bring healthy cows to the ranch so they can eat here and gain up to 80 kilos in a few months before being taken to the slaughterhouse and sold at a price by kilo. The ranch charges a fee for the use of their grass and keeps 10% of the price of the animal. This new business initiative sheds light on the little profitability shepherds get from their traditional cattle raising. But it also reflects and confirms the enormous inequalities in the access to resources. When the oxes eat from only one person, they live in an enclosed paradise on a similar piece of land where tens of thousands of Maasai families share with their cattle.
We've come to the end of this evening news brief. This and many other news, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. And join us also on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Carla Gonzalez. Thank you for watching.